Ew. Oh, we're back. Ooh. Need to amend this. 1 second. There it is. So, fun fact about this game is I didn't know it did this. Depending on what point you're at in the game, it amends your title screen. I mean, let's be real. That's kind of awesome. Okay, some words of wisdom for a start. I don't know if they're words of wisdom or whether they're just like words. I have decided, and I have dropped my bitrate by quite a lot, to the point where it's still alright. Because looking back at some VODs, I kind of realized, oh, there's actually a lot of stuttering going on. And even though it's not reporting drop frames, there's quite a lot of dropped frames. So I have dropped my bitrate down. And so far, for the last however long it is that this stream has been going for, the last 9 minutes, I've seen absolutely 0 frame drops. So I think I'm good. And I'm using GPU encoding. That's cool. Hey, Lyra! How's your day been? You been good? I've been doing well. I've been doing very well. As you can tell. Because I've actually been researching things for my rather time-consuming hobby. A weird tuft on my hair that just moves. Just one. Oh yeah, this side moves. Oh, it's quite time-consuming. So far, my stats read 100 and something hours streamed. It's insane. It's insane. I'll actually 105.7 hours. So very time consuming. Very time consuming. Don't know what I'm supposed to do with that, but nice. Oh, 88 frames dropped. Alright. I was supposed to start before this. We only have 37 hours. It takes time. That's over 30 days, so at a week, you consider this 4 weeks, you'll hit that easily. Of course, with the type of themes that you do, those will be very long streams. You'll get it. I believe in you. In the meantime, we're gonna play actually again. So, Silver Tunes. Ooh. We carry on. So, trying to think where I was at. Oh, yeah. So basically, our best friend had just been killed, and we're examining. It does. It has amazing music. I'm very impressed at the moment. What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Whatever this thing was, it appears to have been broken clean in two. The glass is such a beautiful colour. It looks like a cute little nets. A what? What is that? A cute little Netsuke fastener. Suke? Or a kimono outfit? I'm not sure, it sounds like Kazuma. He wouldn't have secretly carried around a cute little trinket like this around with him, would he? And the mark beside it? What is it, I wonder? It has a sort of brick-like hue. Yes, you're right. It's the colour of brick, isn't it? Even though I don't see anything of the same colour anywhere else in the cabin. Brick? I'm already at a loss. Investigate this. A very large travelling case, isn't it? Yes. It carries a lot of memories for me. Memories? What do you mean? Past events. Well, that's actually how I stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside that case. Ah, yes. I see it says this way up in Japanese. Which in hindsight, I should have realised the foreign crewmen wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and over. And then I was tossed on the floor right here. Being a stowaway isn't as romantic as it sounds. Well, it was less painful than a suicidal takedown. Jeez. How come we can investigate that and not the ink? Did Kazuma write that before he died? It looks like it was written in ink. He must have knocked the ink part from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. Then I suppose he wrote the message by dipping his finger in the spillage? Poor Kazuma. No doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine it. I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of a clue in his final moments, wasn't he? I'm sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing. Oh, that's me. I don't think that's Japanese, Naruhodo-san. Then what language is it? This frame, because he can't... Pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's Russian! It's Russian! Not a foreign script I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? It's Russian! Just investigate everything. This is where dear Kazuma-sama would have sat whenever he was writing. London Diary. Poor Kazuma. He didn't even make it to his destination. It looks as though the last entry is incomplete. Which means... what? He was in the middle of writing it when the incident happened? Let's see what it says. It could be a valuable clue. What was that for? On the sailors Russian? Surely they could read. Exactly, that's why I'm surprised they haven't caught on that it's in Russian. We already know these guys are Russian. Nothing clicks that it's... oh yeah, that's actually Russian writing. Kazuma-sama might have departed this world, but that means you must not read his private thoughts. But what if it's something important? Something relevant to the case? Alright, I won't read it. It just seems a little bit too much. Or Kazuma. I don't like prying into people's personal matters either. But in this case, isn't the need for clues more important? Who's that? He wasn't there a minute ago. He's already my favourite character. He's already my favourite character. As far as I can tell, it looks like he might be European. Oh! How did he... You've noticed the man too, haven't you? That Sherlock Holmes! Naruto-san, don't tell me. You really not know who that is? Well, no. I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. Sherlock Holmes. He doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him. And he's investigating Kazuma's desk, or is he just playing on it? I can't tell. Well, in that case, we simply must talk to him. Am I just imagining it? I'll just stand and look almost uncontrollably excited. The good old Mr. Sholmes. By the way, I expect you've noticed that already. But, just in case, if you press A on people when they're in the crosshairs, you can converse with them. Right then. I get that's a suspiciously tall gentleman in my sights. And we'll see what he has to say for himself. Oh, please do. Let us speak to the Sherlock Holmes. Excuse me. Excuse me, do you have a moment?
Shh. It's a critical part of my investigation.
Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. Yes, perhaps that would be for the best.
Greetings! Oh.
Well, they made that very... Okay. What exactly were you doing on Kazuma's desk just now? Ah, I see.
Fascinating.
Sorry? What do you see? I feel like he's looking right through me.
Oh yes, everything is clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You might be in Afghanistan, I perceive. Or recently returned, if I'm not mistaken.
Sorry? What? Oh, something tells me the good doctor isn't as good as we thought.
And now, whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you'll find yourself in a most troubling predicament.
Oh. Well, that's true at least. But how?
How the deuce did I know that? Perhaps it was really the most elementary deduction. Hardly worth explaining.
Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else?
But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madam. For example, you have fled your native land of Russia, being as you are a merciless revolutionary. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake and are now traveled to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And when the berry-burned occupant of this very cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too. Yes, I believe that summarizes all the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes.
Just to be clear, you're talking about me, are you?
Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name.
I don't even see one person who fits the bill. So it's true. It was you who did this to Cousin Summer. Don't play along with this. What? And you're plotting a revolution too. It's shameful behaviour never heard of Sam. Absolutely wicked. No, listen. She killed us again. Now explain yourself. Tell me everything. This is ridiculous. How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes. I am not a Russian revolutionary, obviously. Oh, forgive me. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came to your head.
Ah, but was I not right? Whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not?
Well, yes, maybe.
And there you have it. You see? What do you make of that?
Well, to be honest, this ship is en route to England and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder. So, I'm not really sure you could call it a deduction, more of a plain observation.
Indeed. An observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles. You see, I announce my findings with the brassiest certitude, and more often than not, I'm right.
Ha! I don't think you introduced yourself.
Ah, my apologies, how remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to men and women all over the world. The intimidable Sherlock Sholmes.
I even messed his introduction up. So, it's really you. The actual Sherlock Sholmes?
The very same. the intimidable, actual Sherlock Holmes.
You know this man, Suzuto-san? The most famous detective in the world, Naruhata-san? Of course I know him. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. What planet have I been living on then? We must ask him what he's deduced. He will have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? Because he's an imposter. And he's most certainly not the great detective. So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what's your name again?
Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, I see, you're German. Herlock. Was it?
No, I have no hair. I mean, I have hair. Please, I'll be Sholmes. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication.
Oh yes, Randst magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially. Oh yes, here it is. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories then?
Indeed I am.
And you've read so many of your own stories, you're starting to think you really are a detective.
Make no mistake, I'm not the poor, deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward.
Backward.
My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine.
You have a biographer, do you?
Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London.
Dr. Wilson.
I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fascinatingly busy of late. Why, this very moment, I'm returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of the cursed royal crown.
Really? I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not.
Deduction, you see, is to me a science. Logical reasoning in its purest form.
A science? Really?
The astute observer notices that even the most subtle of reactions in its subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin, all these things are data.
Right.
And for the trained logician, it makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago.
How can you look me in the eye and claim that? We are Ryunosuke. We are literally this character now. Because I do not believe this is real.
So you see, I have turned both the observation and deduction. And fame. That's what makes me the one and only Sherlock Holmes.
Okay. this guy is... he's more than I thought he'd be. Jeez. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet?
Have I managed to deduce anything, my dear fellow? Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you right now, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Ah, I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all of the crew members, forced the cabin door open.
And I concealed myself amongst their numbers, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective Sherlock Holmes was on board.
He's really pulling his own tail. He is pretty good. He's definitely up there on the detectives range of this series.
The handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me.
Oh really? Two facts, you say? So what were these two facts you're talking about? Mr. Sholmes, please do tell us. What two facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning?
Ah yes, but first, let us be precise. The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me.
Yes, I understand. But what were they?
Allow me to elucidate. These two facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number one, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape from the culprit out of the question. Number two, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance.
Hold on, Mr. Sholmes. What made you think the victim was Russian?
Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. That is the Russian word for wardrobe.
I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that. Do you really think Kazuma-sama would have left a dying message in Russian?
In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. This young man, Russian.
Kazuma was Russian, was he?
Initially, I considered guardrobe or guard-rob. Maybe the name of a killer, a certain Robert Guard, perhaps. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look in the wardrobe there at least.
Where you found Mr. Naruhodo sleeping soundly.
Quite so. I found you. Renowned Russian revolutionary killer.
Why is it that I'm Russian too?
I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people.
Our school uniform is the traditional dress of Russian people? I had no idea. And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong.
I took a photograph of the victim and the message, that I might analyze it for potential hidden details.
This was taken immediately after the...
This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed.
Yes. Cosmo has already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. Kinda sad. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes. Thank you. Added to our court record. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes?
What, pray?
You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all that.
Ah yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth.
Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me? Do you think? Certainly, if that interests you. How many times? I'm not Russian, and I don't speak Russian. Oh, jeez. And I'm losing track of the actual voice as well. Can we talk about your deduction before the things that you concluded about me, I mean?
Ah, the now famously acute, troubling predicament you find yourself in.
Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part.
Ah yes, the more sordid details. It was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. Main headline reads: Revolutionary Violin Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. This vessel made a port call to Shanghai yesterday. And last night, a young Russian was murdered.
Since when was Kazuma a Russian? It sounds like Mr. Sholmes concluded he was Russian because of what Kazuma-sama wrote on the floor.
It was a simple act of reasoning to realize that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary. One who would kill the very man who helped him escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you, Violin Bolshevik.
No. How could it be me? I don't look anything like this man. Just look at his face! Ah, man.
Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all.
Ah, please.
And, might I add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more?
Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower.
Ah yes, the journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all the particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far, and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There can be no mistake.
Everyone knows fearsome revolutionaries are also shapeshifters. Ah! Absolutely. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder? And what about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan?
Also quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik is recently returning after a period of subversive activities in the war-torn region of Afghanistan.
Where even is this, anyway? This Afghanistan place.
Here, take the paper for yourselves. A great little memento of this great deduction.
Oh, thank you?
I have absorbed all I need, all that is of interest to me within its pages. I see no rubbish bin nearby.
Oh, jeez. Yep. We're apparently a shapeshifter.
And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well.
On the back?
Cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret.
It's all written in Russian. I couldn't hope to read it. But I suppose it wouldn't hurt to glance at the article. There might be a picture or two. When we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, weren't you?
Kazuma? Ah, yes, the victim.
Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all?
Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim.
We see that
the victim was engaged in penning some text. London Diary. Kazuma.
London Diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. But I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people.
Tragic. It's something you ought to perhaps elicitate before the act of reading.
You mean you've read it already?
It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese.
Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Suzuto takedown is. Suzuto-san? Aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san. What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Please.
Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonging to the victim. It would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writings? Pray be precise as to detail.
Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese.
A smattering, dear boy, a smattering.
You're right. I love him. I love him.
Saranoya, Bonsai, Mikado, Nado Nado. I trust you are suitably impressed.
Ah.
But this diary is littered with complicated looking characters, of which I can read precisely none. Oh.
So what was all that showing off about before then? If you would be so kind to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Sholmes.
I am much obliged, my dear madam.
Final entry in here, Kazuma-sama's diary consists of 2 short sentences. The first reel is 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. A whistling sound?
Those are very deep waters. Pray, go on.
The second sentence reads 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Speckled band? What does that mean? I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before. Oh my goodness. We're not even gonna thank that, that's a bot. Alira, you are a genius. It's like they haven't. Oh! It's not even like they've not acknowledged this before. They acknowledged it in the first case. Ooh. I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before.
The ventilator grill, you say? Man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall, which next to the adjoining cabin.
Yes, the adjoining cabin. I can sense the disappointment in Renesca's voice just the whole time. Maybe the main characters on better English. I'm sure it will be explained to us very shortly. I'm hoping so at least, otherwise this is a major plot hole. Or maybe it's just a bad part of translation. Played up for comedy. I'm willing to bet it's that, knowing Capcom.
So, I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being at least.
Do you have somewhere to go?
As it happens, the victim's writings in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe. And if I am still too long, the seasickness takes hold.
Oh, I suppose. You're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to?
Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exhilaration.
Exhalation? Exhalation?
So yes, I intend to investigate, as the truth will become clear soon enough.
Before... Do you think perhaps that we could go with you?
No. That would be somewhat complicated.
What? But why?
A simple glance at your wrist should reveal the answer.
Oh, these.
After all, you're the prime suspect in the matter. No? There's no
point trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was a culprit in the first place.
Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point.
You must be joking. You just said it. Only a moment ago.
Dear me. You are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing.
Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too.
You're quite sure? Well, that is very strange. I wouldn't have said you were the face of a criminal. You know, not really.
So what? You were looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are.
Well, anyway, that was then, and this is now.
What do you mean?
What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over, accept your fate.
Now he's just being plain rude. You know, we're apparently not the culprit in his eyes, but here's something that I find really weird. I thought I was a Russian mercenary that was, that killed 16 people. You aren't, but you definitely are. Yeah, that's what Mr. Sholmes seems to think. And off he goes, just having laughed in my face. His sense of humour is as twisted as his name. Naruhodo-san, what are you just standing there for? We must go and investigate the cabin next door as well. Are you forgetting something? What about these? They really like these animations they've made. After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just gonna roll over and accept your fate. As if you give me any choice in the rolling over part. And we still have some investigation to finish up in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we were in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip the next door. Good idea. The situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself. And I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this and bring the real culprit to justice. I wonder what the actual reasoning is, like, no reason for anyone to kill him. That's my dinner from last night. A roast chicken. Really tasty. Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But, did you eat it on the floor here? I'm not a dog, Suzuto. I ate it on the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how the plate ended up on the floor. But Kazuma-sama didn't like chicken at all, did he? No, that's right. He didn't touch it. Which meant all the more for me. Oh no. Does that mean poor Kazuma spent his last night on this earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible. Now I suddenly have a guilty conscience and an achy stomach. That was of no use to us. That's Kazuma-sama's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it. Yes, he was always saying that's a Japanese man's katana as his soul. I believe he had to work very hard to convince the government to allow him to bring it on this trip. I suppose that just shows off how important it was to him. And now he's gone. But I'm not ready to let his spirit go just yet. Books have fallen over on this shelf, look. They've all toppled the same way. And what's this? A statue of some god of the sea. Although he's fallen over as well. Yep. It's almost as if the whole shelf has been ransacked. And everything mowed down at once. I wonder if perhaps it was Kazuma-sama doing his morning sword training, you think? I seriously doubt it. I doubt it too. Then perhaps it was you, Naruhodo-san, in a fit of rage. I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess with a few books and a statue. The way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case, I wonder. Well, I'll just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess. That could be a pivotal part in this investigation. And look what you've done. Tampering with a crime scene. Despicable. You're right, Alira, we are the bad guy. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Burya. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. I can tell you the next thing that she says. The next thing she says is... The next thing she says is this. Well, it looks like you broke both those rules. What? Why are you staring at me? Oh, sorry. I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? There you go! There you go! I can't decide. Well, one thing for sure, either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. I've played way too many of these games to not know that that's coming. There we go, I'll put the actual Twitch chat on. Excuse me.
What?
I was wondering if I could ask you a favor? Would you mind if I investigated a little outside?
Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes. But it's not true, I see.
Sorry?
A criminal asking prison guard to help him escape? Very funny.
We're in the middle of the sea. There's no chance of me escaping.
Nicked! You stay in this cabin until next port. Then it is up to you, up to Hong Kong police to decide what they do with you. You stay.
Alright. There's no point trying to appeal to this man's better nature, that's for sure. When I went for help, the crewman forced the door open. This bolt had been firmly closed, and it's quite a small bolt, not particularly sturdy. And it just slides across the secured door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there'd been no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. When she glares at me like that, I feel tense. I feel all tense up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel the culprit used a needle and thread to draw the bolt across from the outside of the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a very clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabinet's frame are made of metal, and they seal together perfectly. There'd be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. Ow! When she glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles all up and down my spine. Oh, look over there. You know, they're saying that this is like a thing where, like, it's a case where I can be the only culprit because I'm the only one in the room, but people seem to just be appearing all over the place. The crewman, do you mean? He wasn't there before, was he? That's what I thought. Why don't we try talking to him? Probably because I'm likely to get yelled at again. But I suppose I could try. That? Something wrong? Naruhodo-san? Oh god, look at the guy. Look at the guy. Look who it is. Look who it is. Oh, jeez. Oh no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. I don't feel like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir. Yes? What can I do you for? I recognize that face, but it can't be. It is. I didn't know you were here too, Inspector Hasanaga. Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you. My heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of your crew. And board the ship? Again. You certainly seem to enjoy your undercover work, Inspector. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board, but perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. Okay. So what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. This was all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as a Sugoi-san's bodyguard. It was the Ministry of Justice Jingu pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Sugoi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Assassinated? How could that even have been a possibility? I'm not sure. But these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Miss Jingo said that we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Asukoi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. And I didn't take my eyes off him for the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night, every day. I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin. Not here on the first-class deck. I've failed miserably at my assignment, and Asukoi-san is dead as a result. Isn't that a shame? I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector. So if there's anything at all that I can do to help you now, just say the word. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer. Of course not. We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes. We need to be allowed into the cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you move to even touch the handle of the cabin door, that stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer instead. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, you think? I'm going to need something persuasive. What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really? I'd put my life on the line if I had to. He feels guilty. But I don't see how. There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruhodo-san, by presenting me with a piece of evidence that you'd already had in your possession. Evidence? It's just the same as when you were in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hasanari could use. Okay. Alright, yes. I think I might know what we can use. Let me see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain. Ooh. You really should. I mean, look. I understand that he's guilt-ridden, but there's part of it that says he's in his own cabin. There should be nowhere for anyone else to get into it. It would be his diary. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, and we're still trying to work out exactly what he meant by that. But what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins the next door cabin. That's right. So if we can investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. Alright then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You willing to do that? Yes, as long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those Oof. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Are you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I will lay my life on the line if it's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asquith-san safe. This is the least I can do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruto-san. Alright, I'm not gonna read the tutorial. SS Buria, first class cabin passageway. Whew. Finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be. And this is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-san was always being sent on the study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Really? That must be awful. Oh, look over there. Must have a crewman keeping watch. And he looks enormous, even if he's sitting down. The door next to him leads to second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose. Like, people in handcuffs. Naruto-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to this shit by now. You've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Well, yes, I know, but the thing is... I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard, and ever since I've been shut up in that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please, don't give me that pitying look. I want to investigate this rat trap. This caught my eye. Ah! Trap for catching mice. Yes, we have plenty of those back home in Japan. Although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what they call cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Cheese. I wonder what that tastes like. You can't eat it, Naruto-san. The trap will snap shut in your fingers. Really? But... I suppose you're right. You aren't actually going to try it, will you? All I've had to eat for the last couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Or you. I'll find a little snack for you later. That would have been funny if we could have done that. What do you think this is? A very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh! You mustn't touch it. This is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. You know full well that's not what this alarm is for. You tell him. You tell him. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse position. I wish everything would just stop. This ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect everyone else. Let's see what these are. That's a huge book on top of the table there and a pen next to it. Yes, that looks like the ship's log. Can we have a little look through it? This guy really shouldn't be letting us do this. The writing's so neat and precise, every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. Wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. And nothing. No reaction at all. I thought he might appreciate the compliment. I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment, Naruhodo-san, even to a sailor. Anyway, last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably that means there was nothing to report. I'm gonna chat to this guy. Excuse me, but could I ask you something?
You little stowaway murderer.
That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm sorry to trouble you, but could I please perhaps ask something of you?
You little third-class lady maid.
Oh. We seem to have caught this sailor on a bad day, Suzuto-san.
I am not sailor. My mother give me name. I am senior crewman, Beef Stroganoff.
Whew. Best thing is to just avoid eye contact, I think. Mr. Stroganoff, about this first-class cabin area?
Here in the finest part of various steamship for very important person.
What sort of very important persons?
Government official, king, queen, traveling in secret, many important people. That is why I am always guarding the place.
Gosh, that's amazing.
But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in the ocean. But Stroganoff is not animal.
Thank you? If I may, we were wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Askoi currently occupied?
Da.
Suzuto-san, did you understand that? It sounded like da. I think that's probably Russian for yes or no. Genius. And this game is so good. Yeah, they're so suited to their own, like, characteristics. But that's to be expected. I'm waiting for when we're in, like, Britain. And we're getting like all the like really like, oh, we are so perfect. We're so well educated. I am Derek Chodov, senior at the University of Oxford, studying scientific physics something.
It is not permitted to visit our cabin without invitation.
Well, sounds like we're not. Sounds like there is somebody in next door cabin at least. Yes, it's tantalizing. Named after beef stroganoff. It may become apparent later. Maybe he just really likes it. And that's what they're trying to go with. Could you tell us who's travelling in the cabin next to Mr. Skies?
His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott. He's very important Western gentleman.
A Western gentleman.
Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with murder of student boy.
How can you be so sure of that?
Mr. Roylott is authentic Western gentleman. Such a man has no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East Island.
That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard?
That is not your business.
Come to think of it, even though I've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Chasm's cabin the entire time, I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin. I haven't even felt like there's anyone there. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first class cabins, he must be rather important. Is that right?
That is not your business.
They capture the perfect, like, they capture the Russians so perfectly. This is like stereotypical Russian. What you think is Russian is actually perfect. Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganov?
The all time. So criminals like you can not come in or get out.
I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all?
That is not your business.
Aww.
It is sad about student boy.
Were you on watch last night as well?
Of course.
And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual?
Correct.
Suzuto-san? You understand that? It was clearly a no.
I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all.
You didn't hear any strange noises? Or sense anything that was wrong in some way?
I said no.
Sorry. Dude. I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. That's exactly what Mr. Sholmes told us. If you remember.
This is enough. I cannot say more now.
Oh.
It is time for me to report to Captain. Must return to cabin.
Yes, alright.
Bulkhead to second class area is staying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on top of the mountain, or as English say, when pigs fly.
Yes, I understand. What is going on? Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. This looks like a plan for the SS Burya. It shows each deck. The Burya is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. I've been playing on my mind for a while now, but how is it such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruhodo-san. It is? Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan. Yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth. Many, many times larger than the ship. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. Well, I suppose so. That's not how Earth works. That's not how Earth works. We might get something. More than likely, that guy's going to be a witness in the courtroom. That's the way the second class area... That way is the second class area of the ship. Is something wrong? I was thinking about making a run for it just a moment ago. Things aren't exactly going well for me. I might be wrong, but I imagine the moment you reach for the handle of that door, that burly seaman would surely shoot you dead. Oh dear. I'm sorry. Perhaps I went a little too far there. No, I started with talk of my running away. There's no way I could run away while Kazuma's death remains a mystery anyway. That all seemed wrong? Yeah, they've got a very weird way of thinking on this. There's a pen with it too. I'm sure it's the ship's log. We've already read this, have we not? There we go, it's actually read it this time. That's been seen. I'm going to assume we're going to have to do this. They get like this in this game sometimes. I won't let it weigh on you. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours, the one where the ventilator connects to. The ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he was a speckled band. There was a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. And who shall answer other than Sherlock Sholmes? No answer. Right up, look, it seems. There's no one in there to help with our inquiries. How annoying. What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Stand aside.
I'm about to break down this door for you.
Mr. Sholmes!
I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges.
Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted.
It doesn't. Then, how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What, pray, can I kick?
I think we should go in. There's no time to be thinking about stress relief. I told you it was going to appear.
Who are you?
A Western gentleman? This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream.
Woman! Don't be absurd. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin.
True. This woman does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed?
Get out, all of you, now! Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimsby Roylet, I believe? Yes, that is me. And you are? I am the one and only, the actual Sherlock Holmes. You've heard of me, no doubt? No. I'm a great detective among great detectives. One who adores the covers of popular magazines, nonetheless. So I assure you, you may trust me completely.
The man uses that magazine like a business card.
Detective? I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a woman's a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealed herself in the wardrobe this time. So, might I be able to open that small traveling case? What? Don't be stupid. How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that?
Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside of one's trunk. Don't look at me. Oh my! Did you see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. The case just shook.
Leave now, otherwise I call the steward.
So, this is Casimir's neighbor, Mr. Mr. Grimsby Roylet. There's no doubt about it, this strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find any clues before that burly sailor returns. Why is he chilling in the wardrobe? I'm telling you, I love this guy. Like a spirit animal.
What do you think you're doing?
Ah,
This is my cabin. Get out.
could we just have a quick look inside your traveling case, perhaps?
No.
Ah, what a pity. I think we're out of luck. I think you're right. There doesn't appear to be anything more we can do. I agree, but there might be someone else who can help. Perhaps that great detective could get somewhere with Mr. Roylet. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes?
You need only address me, Holmes.
That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes. What were you doing in there? Why?
Why, I was resting, of course.
Resting?
Indeed. I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of a wardrobe whilst waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of detection into service.
Oh.
And it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come.
Well, no, actually, you're spot on for once.
Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylet, is clearly trying to hide something. And they know what is the most effective weapon against a Russian hiding a secret? Why, the truth, of course. I thought it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians.
Right.
Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it?
Oh, yes, please.
Well then, what you are about to see may well astound you. I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time it occurs to me. Is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness, or Russian on the account of his dubiousness?
Oh, this is perfect. I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you or anyone. That's right. And Mr. Sholmes? I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. Bias is the judgment.
Shh. Must have complete silence. What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that?
Ah,
just as I thought. Yes, I've quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates the facts. Mr. Roylet, I've reached two incontrovertible conclusions. What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you're about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? Huh? And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn. You are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize what you have been discovered. Does it not? Ugh.
oh, Naruto-san. I never imagined you would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own. I never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That is a great deduction. Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he deduced all there is to know about a person. What? What ineffable twaddle? Oh yes, I've read all about the countless times in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. And now I've experienced the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it, but all the colour is drained out of Mr. Roylet's face. It looks almost somehow both Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right.
Oh, how could you? How could I possibly have known such things? You wish to say? Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it is I arrived at a pair of conclusions. I do cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. The game is afoot.
Topic 1. Old man's identity. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylet. Oh, wrong voice. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylet, obviously catches the eye in the first place.
Is that enormous pair of shears in your hands? Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now, moving on. The question then begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylet? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Regard, if you will, this morning newspaper. In particular, the fascinating front page article, which would appear you have also read, Mr. Roylet. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence reveals that your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary Violin Bolshevik leaves Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, Violin Bolshevik.
Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. A revolutionary on the run. He is so ready. So ready, readily available just to put his thoughts forward, and he's so classy while he's doing it. It's just and this is why, and this is why, and this is why. It's amazing. Everyone's a fearsome revolutionary. Everyone's a villain on the run. With Mr. Sholmes about. Definitely the best detective.
Now, as far as my second conclusion. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime? Over there. Oh yes, Mr. Roylet. Taken unawares, people have propensely to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you, the eye speaks so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies there, where the fugitive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes. That traveling case. It is time, I think, for the case to be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps? One slight enough bit therein? Don't be absurd. And what, pray, would the identity of this young lady in the travelling case be? Dear me. We're not well suited to the life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil betrays you. Once again, we only need to follow the fugitive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your travelling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. But there is another more stimulating article. We turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page. Renowned prima ballerina. Whoops. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. Kidnapping of young ballerina. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this Russian enigma. Elemensky. Suzuto-san. That wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are so full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know? That seemed a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes. Would you come over here for a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions, would you mind? Not at all, go on. Well, to start with, there's a newspaper article. I think we have had this same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other. Ah yes, I recall our discussion earlier. And at the time, I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary and will be able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Willett does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing. Part about him abducting the ballerina? Indeed. A truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just first glance. It is too small. Clearly. You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child in that case, even if you pushed really hard.
don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she?
You mean you don't know? No. Young lady, 15.
No, I didn't know. How could I know? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years worth of her would be poking out of the case.
Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain litheness in their bodies.
Vinegar?
For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself.
I keep clicking the wrong button. It would be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Oh dear, you might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes. This whole thing is turning into a circus. Mr. Naruhodo, something occurred to me now about Mr. Sholmes' deduction. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of the matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic that seem a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Miss Suzuto. It's just one or two keywords in his deductions that seem to let him down. I was wondering if we might perhaps tactically switch them for alternatives. What do you think? Switch some keywords in his deductions. Yes, but very tactfully. I feel if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction.
Precisely the thought that was going on through my own mind.
This man is a lot of work.
At times I wonder how anyone puts up with me.
It's not that funny.
Ah, and you, my good fellow.
Sorry?
Take a moment, look at your wrists.
My wrists? Where are your handcuffs? How did...
I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction.
I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you are a marvel.
And don't worry, I shall restore those shackles to your wrists when we are finished.
I'm not worried, in fact. I'd rather stay like this.
So, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular.
Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. So, the dubious looking...
So, the dubious looking Russian, Mr. Roylet. Obviously what catches the eye in the first place. Is the enormous pair of shears in your hand? Now we ask ourselves, how could you possibly want with such an information? The answer, of course, staring us in the face. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away that copious beard you sport.
I'm not sure. What would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I doubt that's something I'd ever have to worry about. It doesn't quite sit right with me though. It doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Roylet either. Which means I suppose the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch our keyword here now, Naruhodo-san, and see if it helps the matter. Alright, but how? I think we should start by taking a long and hard look at Mr. Roylet. I wonder if it's really his beard that he intended to use those shears on. Exactly. If we do manage to find something that fits the sense of Mr. Shum's deduction better, then what? Then I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, Narada-san. Why am I the one to do something about this? Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything I could use to switch around the last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Roylott going to use those enormous shears for? What?
Yes!
Yes! You were on the verge of using those shears to cut away your golden locks, the golden locks you sport. Indeed. You have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. Liar! Absolute liar and scoundrel! Such lush and golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. You're not a man at all. You're not a man at all. You're a woman. And judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one still very much in her youth.
If only I had managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected. The question then begged this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of these magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. Well, that was a shock. I had no idea that old man was really a young woman in disguise. Did you? What? What are you staring at me like that for? Yes, it was a surprise, Naruhodo-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry? You look like you're in your element when you dance around the room deducing facts with Mr. Sholmes. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. This is strictly business, not strictly cum. Oh, you were about to get like super like copyright struck right there. Yes, I understand. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on the next part of Mr. Shum's deduction, shall we? The evidence that he picked out doesn't fit the facts all now. No, that's true. Even though Mr. Roylott is actually a woman? Exactly. He, or rather she, cannot possibly be this merciless revolutionary. I suppose it's because the deduction as a whole has taken a complete different direction now. Yes, let's switch the evidence for something else, something that fits the facts now that we understand them. For some reason, this woman needed to try and hide her true identity. I feel as though I've either read or heard about a young woman in a situation like that recently. Alright, I'll do my best. This is interesting. You found something relevant in Naruhodo-san? Well, no. I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. No, nor can I. But look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess, do you think? Very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know. I can't make sense of it. Ah, I'm glad you noticed this article. Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents.
Oh, thank you. Pops up everywhere, this Mr. Sholmes.
It's about the disappearance of this young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Norwich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During the performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. Of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova. Why are Russian names so hard to remember? It would appear the woman was in costume. When she was found to be missing from her dressing room, wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure it must be an unbelievable sum of money. Sustos and shining like diamonds themselves. The tiara is the property of the Novovich Ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself with worry. Yes, I'm not surprised. The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance at all ports sailing to Great Britain. Could this be another case of Russian fleeing his or her own country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruhodo. So it's this. This is what we need to present.
Yes!
Yes. The evidence that reveals your talent is, of course, the article about the ballerina. That's right. You've hit the nail on the head. Oh, that's right. You've hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. It would appear we are finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity of that is that of the Novovich Ballet prima ballerina. Miss Nikolina Pavlova. Ooh. You're right. My real name is Nina. I mean, Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg of you, don't tell anyone. A ballerina on the run. Now, as for my second conclusion. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime? Over there. Oh yes, Miss Pavlova. Taken unawares, people have the propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you the eyes speak much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crimes is before our very eyes. That traveling case. This woman is the ballerina, and she's right in front of our eyes. So clearly she can't be inside the traveling case as well. No, that's right. It seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? You see, I'm going to have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again. You seem to look pleased, Naruhodo-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around with Mr. Sholmes? Stop it. Anyway,
There must be something else we can hear that shows what this woman is up to. Wow, look at this dazzling tiara. I've never seen anything like it. Are those real diamonds, do you think? Oh, Naruhodo-san, try it on. What? Me? Isn't it usually girls who wear tiaras? Wouldn't you like to try it on? Oh no, I couldn't possibly. It's far too beautiful. Why does this tiara look familiar? I feel like I've seen it somewhere recently. Oh, outside of the traveling case and the tiara, it's not the traveling case. It would be the tiara, isn't it?
Yes!
Yes! The proof of your crime is surely this tiara.
I believe the tiara is worn on stage by dancers in the Novovich Ballet, is it not? Indeed. It would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in the newspaper article. And if the reporting is to be believed, it is an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary,
The crime you've committed is theft. Oh no.
yes, you left your ballerina troupe unlawfully, taking their precious tiara with you.
I have no one. No family, no friends. All alone. I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say it, an Earl of Prussia. It belongs to me. This girl is only 15 years old, and she's a runaway all by herself. You must have been extremely lonely. Alright, I'll tell you everything. There's no point in trying to hide it now.
Come, come, let us not be hasty.
What?
There remains one unsolved mystery about you.
Mystery? What do you mean?
You have stridently refused to open this travelling case of yours in our presence. It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there exists some reason why you wish to have it remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavova? Or Pavola? Miss Pavola? My dear girl, there is no sense in playing games with me. Nothing has come to my attention. Indeed. I have a very good idea to the contents of your case, even before I have laid eyes on them. Dear me. We are not well suited to life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your fugitive glances to find the answer. Yes. The reason why you refuse to open your case is written on the books on the shelf.
He's completely changed tack with his deduction now. I think Mr. Sholmes is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances. Don't you agree? Maybe, but he suddenly brought the bookshelf into all of this. It's just a wild guess. Oh, do you think so? Well, it doesn't seem likely that the reason why this young woman doesn't want to open a case would have been written on a book that doesn't even belong to her. Yeah, that's true, but still, Miss Pavola certainly did cast her eyes in that direction. I noticed it myself. And there has to be another reason why she won't open her case. And it must be somewhere in the same area, if that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn. I agree. That's our only answer. Whatever she is hidden inside that case should be revealed by following her gaze in the direction of the bookshelf. It's this and its pets. Yes! Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden.
Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from the carriage of this vessel. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles.
From time to time, but no weapons or other dangerous item would move of its own accord. Which leaves but one possibility, Miss Pavola. Inside your traveling case? Is the last item listed as forbidden on the vessel's rule of passage a pet? Possession of a prohibited animal. Deduction complete. Elementary, my dear Watson. Wow, that was good. I enjoyed that. So clearly, you aren't who you said you were. No, I am not. Grimsby Roylet. My real name? Nicolia Pavola. Everything you said was correct.
You absconded during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. Later that same night, you stole aboard this vessel.
Which couldn't have been easy. The Bury is a huge steamship with a vast crew. Could she really have snuck on board without being noticed?
In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman. And you intended to sever all links to your past by severing your long hair. Yet to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave it well alone.
So, if it was just you, about to cut off your own hair, who was it that let out the scream we heard outside the cabin?
That veritable tinkling of a bell, why, none other than the young lady, naturally.
More like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away in Shanghai. I was sure they would come looking for me. That's why I decided to, what do you say, disgust myself, so no one would recognize me. As a result, you transformed yourself into that questionable old man I see. I put on the fur hat and fake beard. And then, before you came in here, I saw the newspaper. Right on the page, there was a picture of me. I was so frightened. I couldn't stop screaming. I knew that if I didn't change my appearance completely, they would find me. So I decided to cut off my hair as fastly as possible. I took the scissors in my hand, and
at that precise time, we walked through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door.
Things happen that like that sometimes, don't they?
Things do indeed happen like that from time to time.
Are those two even talking about the same thing? There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? You were right. It is my dear friend inside. My only friend in the whole world. Please, don't tell anyone. If Captain finds out, if you say it to any of the crew,
Your secret is safe with us, I assure you. And in return, you must tell us in as much detail as you can muster about the events of last night.
yes, alright, I will tell you. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, wasn't it something? Mr. Shum's great deduction. It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what. But at least Miss Pavola has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible.
Indeed, it is incredible. Ah, one more thing.
Oh, yes. What?
Observe your wrists.
My... Your hands are cuffed again. What? How?
True to my word, I've restored your shackles.
When? And why? There is still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry to say it. It cannot be helped for the moment. Can it really? Anyway, let's listen to what Miss Pavola has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what this speckled band that Kazuma-sama wrote about in his diary really was. I guarantee to you right now, right here and now, that we will go to the courtroom, then we will come back here, right, for day 2, and we will have some interaction with Herlock Sholmes where he will re-handcuff us after we've completely proved our innocence. I guarantee it. Did you know that someone was killed in the cabin next door to this one last night? One of the crewmen told me this morning when I was eating breakfast. The man who died, he was a friend of mine. Oh. That's why we were trying to find out what happened last night. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Perhaps you heard a strange noise, for example. Perhaps people talking?
Perhaps the ship was absorbed by a wild tempest. Perhaps the steam engine exploded.
Perhaps everyone on board would have noticed if that had happened. That is a strong prediction. It's the way these games go. It's their like form of humour. And it's almost certainly that's what's going to happen. Miss Pavola, anything else you can tell us? I don't know. I'm sorry, but all I could think about last night was what I'd done and where they would find me. I didn't notice a thing. It was happening around me. Oh, I see. You've run away from your ballet company, haven't you? The Novovich Ballet. Yes. I am travelling to Great Britain, and from there, I want to go to America. I will never dance again. I want to forget everything about the ballet. I will start a new life.
You wish to forget a challenging proposition. When you have that striking tiara as a reminder.
But the tiara is mine. I need it to live. I have no money of my own. The Novovich Ballet gives us a little food and water, and we must dance all over the world. I had to run away. I had no choice. If I stayed, it would have killed me. So you run away to protect yourself? Yes. And the crew of this ship, they have all been so kind to me. They let me come on board. They said I could hide in this cabin.
If that is indeed the truth, Miss Pavola, it creates a most intriguing conundrum.
Yes, it does. What do you think about it, Mr. Naruhodo? Me? Oh, well, yes, of course. Okay, so Kazuma was probably about to unravel and find out that she wasn't actually a guy. And one of the Russian guys actually found out, and it's one of the Russian guys that killed him. I finished to hear Miss Pavola's explanation to what conundrum. To what conundrum, I'm not sure, but... Miss Pavola,
Allow me to pose you a riddle. According to this newspaper, it was only yesterday that you were absconded from the ballet. Now, that being the case, it must have been last night when you boarded this vessel. However, the SS Beria stopped by no port last night.
ah, that's it. Of course.
So, how is it, pray, that you have come to be aboard?
Now that I think about it, the crewmen outside of the cabin acted very strangely when we mentioned that. It was just after we asked him when the occupant of this cabin came aboard.
That is not your business.
Yeah, you're right. He did seem to be hiding something. An angel descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to the stage. Sorry? What was that? It is how the Russian newspapers described one of my performances. And that is how I came to be here too. I descended from the heavens because I am an angel. Considering English isn't your mother tongue, your description is very vivid. Mr. Sholmes once said, I can never resist a touch of the dramatic. It seems Miss Pavola is the same.
A genius descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to detection, words once said about myself. A quote of the wonderfully exuberant advertisement for the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, in fact.
Yes, Mr. Showy. Anyway, it doesn't look like Miss Pavol is going to tell us what really happened. I love Sherlock Holmes. I think he is so perfect. So, the friend you mentioned is inside your traveling case, is that right? I don't think animals are allowed on board, according to the rules of passage. Oh please, don't tell any of the crew. They found out my precious...
Then the burly Russians would bestir themselves in unison and throw you and your case overboard, no doubt.
So reassuring, Mr. Shelms. But what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy? Is it? It is, isn't it? Maybe an adorable little rabbit?
Ha! You credit Russians the land with small rabbits, do you? Oh.
Oh, don't they have small rabbits there?
You may well ask. I have no idea.
Ha!
You two are miserable bunglers when it comes to understanding the nature of young ballerina's friends. Isn't it obvious? It must be a chicken.
It must be a chicken. Really?
Consider the benefits. A rousing wake-up call, daily fresh eggs, and when adversity strikes, it could satisfy the needs of sustenance.
So you eat your friends. I'll remember that. Ryunosuke will remember that.
Well, it would appear this friend's identity is closely guarded secret, not to be revealed. Ho 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 ho!
He obviously doesn't quite trust us yet. There's something I should like to show her, I think. Maybe she might be able to shed some light on it. This is the diary of my friend who passed away. His diary? Yes, and he wrote in it last night before he died. Something a little unusual. It reads, I can hear a faint whistling sound. And then, a few minutes later, what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? I don't understand. It's strange, isn't it? The ventilator he mentions joins this cabin, you see. It's up there on the wall. In other words, this cabin and the victim's cabin are connected together. Oh. Miss Pavola, has something occurred to you? This speckled band victim mention mean something to you? Or the whistling sound, maybe? No. I don't know anything. Oh.
Excuse me, Mr. Violet. Is...
He's fast.
Captain would like to speak with you. You must come to Captain's quarters at once, please. Go wait, he will come now.
What?
You must leave. Now.
Oh no, it's fine. Don't mind us. Yes, please don't worry yourself, Mr. Roylet.
Get out. It doesn't just sit out. Or you want me to throw you out.
Well, so we'll have to come back. We'll have to leave this investigation until she comes back later. What a pity. And so we lost our chance. Having still not managed to investigate Miss Purple's cabin, we were unceremoniously chased out. That is to say, we were quite literally picked up and thrown into the passageway outside. Oh, hey ho! That's chapter 1 done. Of part 2. But, before I carry on, I will, but I've got to do one thing first. Because, as a result of me doing that, I have to switch to this. Because I'm probably going to lose my chat very soon. I'm also, very quickly, because I noticed that I'm off, there we go. I wish we hadn't been thrown out like that. I wish we managed to find some clues about what that speckled band might be. We didn't manage to investigate at all. And I imagine that we won't be able to for a while longer. We'll never get past that sailor guarding the door. He's clearly glaring at us. As if to say, don't even think about it. Or in his words,
Do not think about it.
oh, wait a minute. What is it? Well, what happened to our great detective friend? Where did he go? Oh yes, he's completely disappeared. When did he do that? He slipped away as quietly as the wind, but not before ensuring these were securely back on my wrists. That door leads to the second class area. It's locked. I can't open it. No, well, that stands to reason. No one wants to let the murderer escape. But I'm not the murderer! Gosh, she gave me a very stern look when she said that. Okay, in that case then, we're just gonna have to move back into here. It looks like they're still investigating in here. Yes, on that subject. I wonder if Inspector Hasagnaga is unscathed. What do you mean, unscathed? Surely you haven't forgotten, have you, Naruhodo-san? Don't you remember what he said about allowing you out of this cabin to investigate? He was going to talk to the captain about it. He said he'd lay his life on the line for you. Oh. Yes. But I'm sure he was exaggerating. Let's see what he has to say for himself. He might have some new information for us. You never know.
You! Where do you go?
Oh, sorry,
Why? Who gave you permission for this?
well, I mean, Seaman Hasanaga did.
That new Japanese, was it? Later, they will roll him into ball and throw him in cold room.
I'm back to guarding the door. I hope Inspector Hasanaga doesn't find himself in too much trouble on our account. He's really gone out of his way to help us, hasn't he? When we get back to Japan, we have to take him for a stake at Liconval. That could be a very long time from now, Naruhodo-san. It was clear these letters were written down in ink that was somehow spilt on the floor. And they spelled a Russian word for wardrobe. It does seem to be an unambiguous point to you, Naruhodo-san, as you were sleeping in there. But to be truly unambiguous, it should have just spelled out my name, don't you think? Well, either way, one fact remains. It's hard to imagine that Kazuma-sama would have written his last words, or word, in Russian. Which begs the question of, who did write this? You were hiding from me.
Ah, you're back.
Inspector, what happened to you? Your face is...
Please, don't worry about it. Let us scratches.
made by a bear, maybe?
When I told the captain that I'd given you permission to investigate, he told me he'd pummel me with his fists and then toss me overboard.
What?
But the pummeling was over in a flash. He must have decided against throwing me overboard. There was nothing really.
Looks like he wasn't joking when he said he'd lay his life on the line if he had to. Well, thanks to your efforts, we now know about the neighboring cabin.
Yes, so I understand.
Oh.
I bumped into the man claiming to be the great detective a little while ago. His name was something like Sherlock Holmes. I don't think he was German though.
Ah. That explains it. Shall we compare notes then? We can tell you what we've found out.
Yes. Let's do it. Nick Nicolina Pavola. She's in the cabin next door.
Oh, so you do know who she is?
Please, what self-respecting ballet fan wouldn't know what a graceful angel?
Oops, I think I upset him there.
Well, that tells us that the neighboring cabin is unrelated to the case at least.
Oh? How?
Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they?
Now I've definitely upset him. Inspector, has your investigation here proved fruitful?
If I'm honest, there's very little more I can do. Our duty is to make sure the scene isn't disturbed. Ready to hand over to the Hong Kong police. So I'm just keeping watch here. Trying not to take my eyes off the job.
Oh. I see.
Ah, there is one thing. I do have a small piece of new information for you.
Oh, what? Yes, please do tell, Inspector. What is this new information you have, Inspector? It's this. The Burria's medical officer has finished his examination of the body and managed to obtain the report. Me, literally 5 seconds. I'm out of sync again. Boo! There we go. Oh! Kazuma's post-mortem report. Kazuma-sama. So, what was the cause of death?
Damage to the cervical vertebrae. Is what's written in the report.
His neck was broken.
Yes, it would seem so. There were no obvious wounds or other signs of injury. But first, I think they were considering poison. But it turns out there were no traces of poison in his system at all.
Well, what weapon was used?
Nothing has been found as of yet. But the fact that there are no signs of a wound suggests it may have been a blunt object. Something that would leave a mark.
Oh, I see. All the body's nerves run through the spine to the brain. A strong enough impact to the neck could induce death. It's a possibility. An overobvious wound would be left. Or Kazuma. I have a second copy of the report. It might be useful. You're welcome to have it. Really? Are you sure? Yes, it's fine. I trust you. After all, if I didn't trust you, I'd never have agreed to live in this cabin in the first place, would I? Ah. Feels so bad that he's like been beaten up, but what can I do? The postmortem report has been entered into the court record. was here, wasn't he? Yes, he seemed to be enjoying himself a little too much as he crept around the floor investigating. But then he suddenly left. I suppose he must have become bored. Did he say anything at all? Actually, now that you mention it, just one thing. But he practically shouted it. "It's shoe polish," was what he said. Shoe polish? I wonder what he meant. It was when he was over there, by the broken pieces of glass. Hey, Zessie! How's your day been? Ah! Perhaps he was talking about this brick-colored mark, do you think? I'm doing pretty good. I've had a pretty good day as well. We're just running for the next 20 minutes or so. I'll get as far as I can in this quite elusive case. As he was talking about his brick-colored mark, what do you think? Ah, yes. That must be it. But how could Mr. Sholmes have known that it's shoe polish? Answer that. That leaves me cold, I'm afraid. I have no idea. What is it, Suzuto-san? Well, Kazuma-san was wearing leather shoes with a very dark tan hue. Dark tan. Sort of dark brownish red, then? Yeah. A little like the color of red wine, but darker. I often repaired them for him. Oh, does this mean this mark was made by the polish on Kazuma's shoes as they scuffed across the floor? I refuse to believe that we didn't wake up when this was going down, because it looks like there was a big struggle. That's really all I can tell you at this stage. I should return to my post. My fellow crewmates' eyes are boring into the back of my head. Yes, that might be for the best. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Poor Inspector, you look exhausted. Oh no, well, I feel terrible that I failed to protect Tsuskoi-san. He was my responsibility. Of course, my pain is nothing compared to yours. You were his friends. Truth is, I seem to have a heavy head ever since I woke up this morning. A heavy head? That's interesting. My head's still throbbing too. Oh. I know what this means. Segi, the Japanese word for justice. The brushstrokes are straight and true, just like Kazuma. Yes, his calligraphy was always a reflection of his heart. Yet you? Can you really look at those characters without feeling shame knowing who drew them so thoroughly? Or thoughtfully? Of course I can. I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? Even though you stowed away on the ship? Now you're going to bring that up, are you? Jeez, I can't win. These are the rules of passage for the travel aboard Berea. Customers not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. For bringing her pet on board, Miss Pavola has broken the rules. She called it her friend, didn't she? Yes. Although we don't know what form this friend takes as of yet. I'm almost certain that whatever it is inside the travelling case in her cabin. A friend. There's more to this than it seems, I think. And obviously we got done for bringing that massive katana on. There's nothing on this table at all. Light and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason. Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I was sure everything was still... No. Wait a minute. That's funny. I can't remember anything that happened after dinner. Because we got sleeping medded. Well, Milo. So, then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kazuma-san? No, no, no. It was more than likely in the chicken or something. This is where Kazuma spent his final moments writing his diary. I can hear the faint whistling sound. Well, it looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Looking at his writing here on the page, it's almost impossible to believe that he was gone. Kazuma-sama left us a valuable clue in these words, I'm sure of it. We have to solve the mystery, Naruhodo-san. We will. Let's see. This is, yes, a bell-core contraption, I think. What do you mean, contraption? I read about it in a book when I was studying and talked about life in Great Britain. Large households often have bell cores like this, which you can pull to ring a bell to summon servants. How well off are we that we have servants? Really? That sounds almost magical. Shall we give it a little try? Yes. In the interest of cultural research, obviously. Yeah, obviously. And nothing happens. Suppose nobody comes for lowly Japanese people. No, no, I'm sure it's just everyone's busy, that's all. We investigate the ventilator now. This ventilator joins Miss Pavola's cabin. Yes, that's right. And so just a few minutes before he died, Kazuma saw something emerging from it. The speckled band, as he describes. If only Miss Pavol had been able to shed some light on it. But she seemed as baffled as we were. Yes. I wonder if she was telling us everything, though. I'm not sure. I know most people aboard would say the same about me, but I'm sure there was something that that woman... There was something about that woman that didn't sit right with me. Ah! Look, Naruto-san. Simon Stroganov is gone. Strong enough? The burly Russian sailor who's always crossing his arms and glaring at us. All these Russian names are impossible to remember. So that's a bit rude. You hear that? Sounds like someone singing. It's caroling. I know that lot-like voice. Oh, never mind that now. This is a golden opportunity for us. Yes, you're right. We must seize it. Let's get inside Miss Pavola's cabin. Or we can and investigate. Definitely. Before that stringy knot crewman comes back. It's Stroganov, not stringy knot. Stringy knot. Miss Pavola isn't back yet. Just where's she gone? Hey, what are you doing? Those are private things. There's not a moment to waste, Naruto-san. We can investigate everything as quickly as we can. Oh, you're right. That was a mistake. Not just for Kazuma-sama. What do you mean? It can't be long now until we arrive at port in Hong Kong. I don't want you to be in handcuffs when we get there. Really? We must solve this case, Naruto-san. By ourselves if we have to. Yes, we will. And unfortunately, that's where we end. Because if we carry on, we're going to run into early hours in the morning. But this is fun. This is fun. I really like Herlock Sholmes. I think he's a very, well, he's definitely a cynical character, I'll give him that. He is a good character. Although I find him a very peculiar one because we clearly know who they're ripping off. Even though the opening cinematic to this chapter features someone called Sherlock Holmes. Or Mr. Holmes. Not Mr. Sholmes. It's a very weird conundrum to me that that's the case. But yeah, this is where we end. I will check if there's anyone I can send. Send this to. There is. Let me see. 3 days in a row. There's nobody. No. That's okay. It seems like he's just trying to be very eccentric and inconsistent. Well, from what I know of this game, is that there is 2, which means there isn't going to be probably a big revelation about him in this one, but there might be in the second one, which makes me think I'm very wishy-washy about whether he's actually a detective. Or it might just be that they're playing off the fact that Sherlock Holmes was apparently a great detective, even though probably, like, I know he's fictional, but they're playing the character basically. And it's going to be like, he's an actually like awful detective, and Dr. Watson makes him seem like this really amazing detective. You know, kind of like the old TV show. That's beyond this stream. We will find out in due course. So with that, I wish you a wonderful morning, afternoon, late afternoon, nighttime, and sweet dreams. No problem. I'm glad you stuck around. I'm trying to be like Hassan Naga and bow, but it doesn't capture it. There we go. Thank you so much.